I'm Shamari Stone, and I'm your Master of Ceremonies. James Foster Hansley was my uncle. I want to welcome everyone to the celebration of a man of wisdom, humility, and generosity, James Foster Hansley. Please mute your phones and continue to wear your mask and practice social distancing. On behalf of the Hansley family, I'd like to thank family, friends, and neighbors for joining in this service in person and on Zoom. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic and Jim being a no-frills guy, he liked KISS, basically keep it short and simple. We have condensed the traditional service into the interment service. Many family members from Jamaica, Canada, and the United States could not be with us today due to the COVID-19 restrictions. We have taped some of the tributes, and we ask all of those participating in person to be ready to speak at their assigned time, and also please adhere to the time that you have been given. In this great time of sorrow, we would like to acknowledge the suffering of the people in Haiti, Afghanistan, and the victims of Hurricane Ida. This service is being live streamed and everyone can follow along with the program provided. Now let's give James Hansley a good send-off. We begin with Reflections, a scripture reading from Michael Terrelonge, that's Jim's brother-in-law in Jamaica.
Reflection on the life of Jim Hansley, who taught truth loved well. A reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 3, verses 1 to 9. The souls of the just are in the hand of God, and no torment shall touch them. They seemed in the view of the foolish to be dead, and their passing away was thought an affliction, and their going forth from us utter destruction. But they are in peace. For in the eyes of men, indeed they be punished, yet is their hope full of immortality. Chastised a little, they shall be greatly blessed, because God tried them and found them worthy of himself. As gold in the furnace, he proved them, and as sacrificial offerings, he took them to himself. Those who trust in God shall understand truth, and the faithful shall abide with him in love, because grace and mercy are with his holy ones, and God's care is with the elect. A second reading is from the Epistle of St. James, chapter 1, verse 27. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, keep oneself from being polluted by the world. This is the word of the Lord. May our dear brother Jim rest in peace. Amen.
Thank you, Uncle Michael. And now, Whitney Palmadur, James' granddaughter, will deliver the eulogy.
Grandparent at all is such a special gift, but to know a grandparent as an adult when you are better able to comprehend the depths of their knowledge and the experiences they've had is really such a privilege. I'm very thankful to have had such a relationship with my grandfather. As he did with many, he assumed the role of mentor with me. He was always so encouraging and supportive of my interests. Every couple of months, he'd send me articles related to my field. Had I seen that, did I know of him or her. He was always looking out for opportunities or connections he thought might help me professionally or personally. He would call periodically to check in on me and my family. They were never long calls, and they didn't need to be. Better. Okay. It was enough to know that he cared. I've always loved coming down to Silver Spring to visit. It has been so fun to get a window into his daily routine and to meet some of the many friends and family who live close by. One of my absolute favorite memories of him was when I went down to visit him and Leslie after attending a friend's wedding nearby. I remember he came out to meet me at the car and picked me up and spun me around. I was 27. But you'd think I was a child, and in that moment I was. His love and care and pride in me meant so much, more than I can say. It was always unconditional. In many ways, he really was the consummate grandfather, and I am so very thankful for the time we had together.
Thank you. Thank you, Whitney. Now we will hear tributes from some of the people that Jim touched. For those who will be speaking in person, please be ready to share your tributes. Tribute 1 is coming from Jessica Lynn.
Family, friends, and esteemed colleagues, I'm grateful for the opportunity to join you today to pay homage to my mentor, my hero, and one of my closest friends. My name is Jessica Lynn, and I was originally introduced to Jim by Josh Lerner, my professor at Harvard Business School. When I was still in graduate school, Jim invited me to his home where I met his lovely wife. After graduation, I moved to Silver Spring so I could be near them because they were just so fun. The two have supported me in all things, big and small, from golf lessons together on weekends to countless brunches and dinners, to advising me when I was buying my home, to inviting me to spend holidays with their family and friends. Jim in particular has been a sounding board and a solid rock throughout my adult life. I cannot recall if I told him, but I was always struck by how present God's grace was in his life. He was blessed with a loving and genuine partner in Leslie for 40 years. Though he came from humble beginnings, Jim excelled to the highest peaks of his career. Although he was raised in the foster system, he was blessed with a beautiful daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter, and we all sit here today as part of his extended family and the network of friends that he cultivated. None of this would have been possible on his own, but is only made possible through the grace of God. I believe in a God who demonstrated his love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us so that we could have eternal life. I pray that today, as we lay his physical body to rest, that this is only the beginning of Jim's eternal story with his Maker. Thank you again for the opportunity to celebrate a life so well lived and that will be so dearly missed.
Thank you, Jessica. We're now going to hear from Dia Martin.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dia Martin. Jim Hansley was a manager, a mentor, a friend. Jim was family. Jim interviewed me for an internship at OPIC in 2001. I worked there for one semester, but my life changed from that moment in ways that I could never have imagined. As an intern, I worked primarily for Jim. He was absolutely wonderful. We both lived in Silver Spring, so I saw firsthand how much he loved Whole Foods. More importantly, I was so inspired as I learned about his impressive and storied career. Even after my internship ended, Jim was always there. Jim was a mentor to me. Upon arriving back at OPIC in 2010, we picked up right where we left off. At work, Jim was my lunch buddy. I made frequent trips to his office for conversation and advice. He always had sweet and salty granola bars and Godiva chocolates. When he saw how much I ate, he started dishing out boxes of granola bars with his advice. Jim was always introducing me to new people. Many I am still close with today. Jim Hansley was my friend. Outside of work, I became a regular at the Hansley's house. I met Leslie and most of the family, and like to think I've been invited to many family events, as well as just coming by frequently to hang out. Jim was family. Most of all, Jim was generous. He encouraged me with not just words, but actions, celebrating my successes, building me up when things were down, and leveling with me. He saw my potential and was always proud of my accomplishments. Up until the last time I saw him a few weeks ago, he asked about my goals with sincerity and full attention, questions and of course advice. Jim was more than a mentor and a friend. Jim was family. His legacy lives on in me. Thank you.
Lisa Marie Monsanto, one of Jim's many, many mentees. For me, Jim's lasting legacy is simply the power of people working together. Jim loved the words, big impact. Jim showed that by learning from others, pooling our ideas, supporting each other, and putting aside our individual egos, we can make big things happen. He demonstrated this throughout his career, from his early years with minority funds in North Carolina to state enterprise funds in the former Soviet Union and early post-apartheid South Africa to private equity funds all over the world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, in Latin America, and in the Caribbean. Jim was never afraid to stick his neck out to support ideas and other people he believed in. In so many ways, Jim was way ahead of his time, but I think his legacy will live on in all of the many, many lives he touched. Thank you, Jim, for all that you've done. May you rest in peace.
Chin, heard a lot about you. Jim spoke very highly about you, and it's nice to meet you. Yes, sir.
There's too much to say about Jim in a minute and a half, but Jim was the quintessential gentleman. He showed me that a $2 bill can go a long way to saying thank you and to saying that I see you. He showcased that learning and curiosity doesn't need to die with age, but actually can grow with age. He taught me, although I didn't often follow it as much as I should have, the sound practice of brushing your teeth and flossing your teeth immediately after every meal. And he taught me just how to be a very humble human being. I think above all, what represents Jim to me is humility, and that humility is king for him. Jim has been my mentor, has been my friend. He opened his life to me, he opened his home to me. He's going to be sorely missed by me, by so many others. I love him, I appreciate him. And the one thing that I also want to say is that she is extremely loved and she will be extremely taken care of. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Calloway Jama. I met Jim through a mutual friend. It was early in my career and I was new to DC, and I had often lamented that social interactions in DC were impersonal and opportunistic. Then I met Jim, and he had such a warmth, humility, and kindness that made me feel like we had known each other for years. Jim and I connected instantly, from shared stories of challenging childhoods to our deep belief in the roles that African Americans should play in supporting economic growth in Africa. In Jim, I had a mentor, a cheerleader, and a father figure who I admired greatly. When I moved to Kenya and started a company, a rather risky career move, Jim set up weekly check-in calls with me. He told me, whatever you need, my Rolodex is open to you. I was humbled that he would offer such support. Jim was truly a gem. As I've been reflecting on his life, I can't help but think of the analogy of the gemstone. Gemstones are precious, valuable, and extremely rare. What's interesting is that gemstones are hardened minerals that in their raw form don't look like much, but once they're cut and polished, their beauty and value is unmistakable. Jim Hansley was that gemstone, who had life experiences that may have hardened him, but his life choices and career cut and polished him into the great man that he became. For those of us who are lucky enough to be mentored by him, we know firsthand just how precious, valuable, and rare it was to have Jim's wisdom and mentorship in our lives. Leslie, I know that Jim is beyond proud of your strength and grace these last few months. You grounded and balanced him in so many ways. Know that we are always here for you.
And now we're going to hear from Jim's best friend, his man, his buddy, Hank Arrington.
Hello, family, friends, and admirers of Jim. I hardly know where to start to talking about him. Leslie called me and told me I had 2 minutes to speak. And then later on, I got a call from David saying I had 1.5 minutes. And that's talking about Jim for that is like trying to put a basketball in a test tube. But Jim and I were great friends. I met him in the 70s, and we did a lot of things together, including we traveled to South Africa in 1991 and spent 15 days together. And what I found interesting about Jim was his discipline. Jim was so disciplined. And you know, Jim had a little stammer. We were together 15 days in South Africa, meeting with all kinds of people, and Jim never stammered. But that was a great trip with him. And the other thing that was significant about our relationship was Jim Hansley and another friend of ours named Mark Spencer, an attorney, and Dr. Walter Leonard, who was formerly president of Fisk and started the Harvard Plan. We met for breakfast once a month at the original Pancake House in Bethesda. And they called it, Dr. Leonard called it Eggs and Issues. We'd discuss everything. We'd have a great time and bonding and the camaraderie. Now, the other significant thing, when I went to Jim's son's funeral, I went to his son who died in California, and I spent the time out there with him. Jim never showed any emotions out there. But the most significant thing that happened, I realized the genes that pulled that Jim was spreading. They said this man, his managing director, who Jim Jr. worked for, was about 60 years old, and he got up and said, Jim Hansley Jr. is the greatest man I've ever met. And I realized then that the gene pooled. And then I realized that his daughter, his granddaughter, and his daughter Karen, and he always talked about their talents. Well, but I'm going to miss Jim because we had planned to celebrate. I'm 89, I'll be 90 in February, and he'd be 89 in, I think, November. We had planned to have one party when he got 89. But I'm going to miss him, but I'm going to have that party for him anyway. Thank you, folks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cecilia Carolong, and James Hansley is my dear brother-in-law. So sorry that I can't be there with Jim to lay him to rest. And that's pretty unbelievable in that one of the things that I like to do most in life was to just sit and talk with Jim. He was simply a joy to be with. It's indeed a very sad day, but also a commemoration of a life well lived and of how whatever we do in life, Whatever path we take, let us live deliberately and live with humility and kindness. Jim truly demonstrated that how we live impacts people enormously. I'm certainly there in spirit, Jim. I would like to thank you for everything that you have done for our family. You have been a gem, a calm spirit, a wise one, as they say. It's not that I had any choice in the matter as to whom Leslie married, but I'm glad she chose Jim as her husband. I would not want anyone but Jim to be my brother-in-law. Jim was more than a relation. He was a friend. He was someone you can count on. He was a sharer of many smiles. He provided many special memories of yesterday and hopes for a brighter tomorrow. He was always someone to turn to, someone to appreciate, and someone to wish every happiness. He was truly wonderful. I am so proud to call Jim Hansley my brother-in-law. I'm so glad that he's been part of the family. Rest in peace there, Jim. I will always love you.
Good morning. I'm Donovan Terrelong, Jim and Leslie's first cousin. Jim, I owe so much of who I am today to you that I can never repay. Not because you would want that, but because the legacy of your gift of generosity is the intent that it be paid forward. 38 years ago, I was accepted to Howard University without any means of financial support. I hopefully reached out to you and Leslie, and without any hesitation, you agreed to provide the financial evidence necessary for me to realize my dream of becoming an architect. For many of us here, my story is not unique, since your nature is to give freely with the expectation that success will follow the recipient. 2014, at your retirement party from OPIC, after 15 years, the common sentiment among the guest speakers was your belief that success was inevitable based on a careful dose of planning combined with the intrinsic good in people. The numerous mentees you constantly develop to become leaders in their own fields of expertise remain grateful for your life lessons. You lived for making connections between people wherever you saw opportunities for growth. Leslie, I quote the Hebrew proverb, "Say not in grief he is no more, but live in the thankfulness that he was." May peace be with you. Thank you.
This is Henry Obi, and I'm based in London, England. I had the honor and privilege of meeting the legend, the late Mr. James Hansley, or Jim as I knew him, nearly 18 years ago, when our firm had just been mandated by OPIC to run one of its funds. Being young men of hue, Jim quickly took us under his wings, and over the years, he became an advisor, a mentor, and a friend to me and my partners. Jim had an impact on me in many ways. Unfortunately, given time limitations, I'll only mention two of them. The first is Jim taught me the true meaning of your success is my success. He was very generous with making his network readily available to all. He loved to connect people as it made an invaluable difference on people's lives. He always knew a cat, as he would like to say, to assist you resolve your problem. The second lesson from this giant of a man was the importance of being young at heart. He blended comfortably with the young up-and-coming black professionals in the global emerging markets private equity industry. I remember Jim telling me on the phone that he had a knee replacement on both knees. I nearly fell off my chair when he told me that he was 80 years old and he was still playing tennis. This just typified the young, energetic disposition of the man. My heartfelt condolences to Jim's family. May his memory be a blessing and his life be a celebration of the best in humanity. May he rest in perfect peace. Amen.
One of Jim's mentees.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lane. Jim was a friend, a mentor, and after he retired, we did some business together as well. So I'll just share some of the impact that Jim had on me and my family. I was fortunate to be introduced to Jim in DC when he first joined OPEC. I was doing a lot of work in Africa, and one of my friends said, "You got to meet the guru of Africa, for investments." And Jim turned out to be a guru and so much more. We developed a close bond, and then I learned a lot about his private equity expertise in helping to develop funds, enterprise funds, throughout the world, and most notably in Africa. One of the things you learned was that Jim spoke with his congressman, local congressman, and a congresswoman from Georgia to get them, to get the executive branch to do the first fund in Africa, the only fund in Africa. And he was talking to me about all this, and lo and behold, I end up going to Johannesburg working on the fund. Jim always has a plan. So it was really interesting in that respect. And then my family and my kids, grew a lot from it as well, from the experience of being in another country. If you know Jim well, when I lost my dad in December 2018, Jim and I, we always used to get together at the end of the year, go by the house, have a drink, talk a little bit, and so forth. And that year was late. And when we got up, we started talking about his son, which Hank just mentioned, and how you got to get strength from that, how you got to, bounce back and continue and take things, very positively as you go forward. After his diagnosis, I had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, the last 3 months. And one of the things Jim insisted on was that he said he still had more to give, So we worked on a deal with one of the firms, and what impressed me the most was this private equity firm in Pennsylvania, held him in such high regard because he helped create them. But not only that, Jim held them in higher regard because after he retired, they were one of the firms that every year invited him and Leslie to their annual meeting, every year without fault. And he appreciated that so much. And he never stopped showing his love, particularly for Leslie, because as during these 3 months, one of the funny things that happened was Jim wanted to take Leslie. He said, Leslie, I need to go to the bank. And Leslie's like, why? And he's like, well, I need to take some money out. He says, why? Because I want to give you some money, and so forth. And Leslie said, well, that's okay. But it didn't matter to Jim that Leslie was already part of the account. He said, I want to give you some money, and so forth. And so finally, Jim had a plan, right? So Leslie relented. They went to the bank. He took money out, stashed it at the house, and one day he gave it to Leslie. And the reason is because Leslie was his primary care provider, and she was doing so much. Yes, and Jim, being the person that he is, was just so humble that his wife was working so hard. And he's the kind of guy that, I remember him telling me, you got to take care of your family, as the man. And so that was kind of the symbol behind that, and it's kind of, lasting. And then when I visited him last Wednesday before the passing, I went by the house, just chatting because I was going away. I said, well, I'll come back on Monday and we'll catch up, and started talking. And Leslie was like, hey, talk to him about eating more because he hasn't been eating a lot. So I said, Jim, you got to eat a little bit more. And I gave him a fist bump. He looked at me and he said, and I quote, he says, sorry, the sun's in my eye. He says, now, is that a fist bump of a hungry man, Lane? Look at this body, Laughing, I of course said, yeah, Jim, nice body, but you got to listen to your wife. You got to eat a little bit more. And upon my return to town, I text Leslie Monday morning, and unfortunately, life happened, and destiny had other plans. But what I think about is Maya Angelou's poem, When Great Trees Fall. I'm not going to quote it because I don't have time. Jim indeed existed. The last stanza talks about he existed and will continue to exist for all of us that he touched. We are no doubt better because he was and will remain in our lives, all because Jim. May you indeed rest in eternal peace, Brother Jim. Nothing but love for you. And I'll remember that fist bump.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for sharing in Jim's memory, showing the impact he's had on your life. We're now going to hear from Leslie Hansley, my aunt, Jim's wife of 40 years, followed by a poem from Jim to Leslie read by Daniel Terrelange, Leslie's nephew.
Good morning. My dear beloved Jim, I am heartbroken that you left me so soon. I know that you were sick, but happy that you did not suffer. We thought that because you were responding so well to the treatments and not in pain, that we would have more time together. I loved taking care of you when you got sick. I know that you would want me to thank the doctors and staff at the Cancer Center at Adventist Healthcare Medical Center who took such excellent care of you. We planned for death, but we never spoke of death. Thank you for the 40 years of marriage. We were so different, but we loved each other and we made it work. I liked vibrant colors. You only liked dark ones, especially blue. I liked to laugh a lot. You were very stoic. I liked to dance. You could not dance. I liked wine. You liked rum. I liked all types of music. You only liked jazz. You liked sitting on the front porch. I liked sitting on the rooftop deck. You liked serious TV shows. I liked HDTV. We did not try to change each other, but accepted the differences. Jimbo, because of your generosity and kindness, I am surrounded by love. I miss you so much and always will. Now that I'm alone, I need you to guide me until we are together again. I promise to put out the garbage on Wednesday nights, to get the furnace maintained twice a year, and to turn off the outside pipe when it gets cold. Jim, I've given you some things to travel with as you journey up to God. The warm blanket from Karen, your daughter. You are always cold. Your walking stick, the black one that you liked so much, just in case you get wobbly. Your cap and bag, they were always a part of you. And a few $2 bills in case you need to buy something. Jim, we were so good together, and when my time comes, I will lay down right beside you so that we can hug each other forever. Now I'm going to read you a poem. Yes, a poem. Please don't roll your eyes at me. I know you're going to love it. God's garden. God looked around his garden and found an empty place. He then looked down upon the earth and saw your tired face. He put his arms around you and lifted you up to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He always takes the best. He knew that you were suffering, and although you were not in pain, he knew that you would never get well on earth again. He saw the road was getting rough, and the hills were hard to climb. He closed your weary eyes and whispered, "Peace be thine." It broke my heart to lose you, but you did not go alone, for part of me went with you the day God called you home. So until we meet again, my beloved husband, I love you, my Jim.
We're now going to hear from Daniel Terrelon, Jim's nephew, and he is going to read a poem from Jim to Leslie.
My dearest Leslie, as I sit in heaven and watch over you every day, try to let you know with signs that I never went away. I hear you when you're laughing and watch you when you sleep. I even place my arms around you to calm you as you weep. I see you wish the days away, begging to have me home. So I try to send you signs so you know that you're not alone. Don't feel guilty that you have life that was denied to me. Heaven is truly beautiful. Just wait, and you'll see. So live your life, be free, and know that with every breath you take, you will be taking one for me.
Thank you, Daniel. To close, we want to thank everyone who played a role in Jim's life and who helped put this service together, including Donovan Marks Photography, who took pictures for us today. We are also grateful for everyone who reached out to Jim during his illness, who sent their condolences by email, phone calls, cards, food, and flowers. We are indeed grateful.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to read either. The family requests that in lieu of flowers, you donate to the Adventist Healthcare White Oak Medical Center Foundation to support building a geriatric oncology program at the White Oak Cancer Center. A link set up by the foundation is on the website and in the program. This service will be available for viewing on the website by noon tomorrow. So see the announcement for the link to the website. The interment process will now begin. For those of you who would like to toss a flower into the grave, please line up on the right of the tent and you'll be handed a flower. You can toss your flower and then exit to the left of the tent. Okay, I got that right. Right line and then left and then exit, practicing social distancing. We're planning a repast at a later date, pending pandemic restrictions, and we will notify you. To allow for the next interment service, please exit promptly at the conclusion of Jim's interment service. So thank you again for your love and support. He was loved but never lonely. Thank you. Look at it.
Thank you all for coming today, and rest in peace. Hello, everyone. If you could please move towards this area on the other side of the tent. Thank you. And one more thing, if you're here and did not fill out the guest book, could you please fill it out? It's to the right over here at the table, please. Thank you.
you.